Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Hi, hello, listener of Never Morphed. If you like this show, I am convinced you are going to love The Newest Olympian by Mike Schubert. Why am I so certain? Because that's one of the shows that inspired this show. Real ones who listen to the credits already know. Each week, Mike dives into the Percy Jackson series, which I love, joined by guests who are longtime fans of the Rick Riordan series. If you haven't read these books yet, this is the perfect way to get started and read along with Mike. They're so good. And like Animorphs, they're kids' books that touch on way more serious topics than you might expect. And they're about worldwide mythologies, starting with Greek and Roman. I know you gays love mythology. If you have already read the books and know how good they are, you'll love this series too. The dramatic irony, man. And if you know about the books from the Disney Plus series, Mike has done interviews and conversations with some of the cast of the show on The Newest Olympian too. Mike is a great host, a great editor, and obviously a huge inspiration for me. You can find The Newest Olympian in the show notes or wherever you get your podcasts. Go subscribe right now and enjoy.
Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Welcome back to another episode of Never Morphed, a series in which I read every Animorphs book for the first time, and I'm a grown-up who says grown-up words, no babies. In this episode, we get to, I guess, the second big twist and turn of this fucking buck wild book. But mostly I talk about yeerk artists and how hot this one is. Guest is Cat Blackard. Check the show notes for where you can find her incredible work. And as always, patreon.com/hughousepods. Okay, let's go. So they get out of the water tower just fine because nobody else thinks that the water tower is a threat the way that I do. It's not like narratively interesting.
They do have bigger problems.
They do. So they get out and Rachel apologizes to everybody for going berserk in her bear morph and almost killing everybody. And they're all like, it's cool. Please fucking go get some rest. She gets home and she falls asleep immediately. She does, in fact, get the fucking rest. And thank God. The next morning, she wakes up to her alarm. Her mom is calling her. She is still in her morph suit from the night before. And the mom clocks this so fast. She's like, listen, you were out late last night. You came home late last night. You didn't talk to me. You didn't tell me where you were going. You're wearing the same thing that you were wearing last night. It's this morning. What is going on? You need to be home tonight. We need to talk. And Rachel is like, okay, so like, can I shower? Can I shower though? And the mom was like, yeah, okay. And I do want to know, she does, in fairly quick succession, she does wake up in the morph suit that she was wearing last night, takes it off to go take a shower, and then seemingly puts it right back on after. And that shit's so gross, Rachel. It was not commented on in the book, but like I noticed it. Rachel, maybe she's got multiple morph suits. You know, she is a gymnast. She is a
gymnast.
I can trust her
But
for this.
also,
I was a gymnast. I had, I think, probably like 3 leotards growing up, but I only liked one of them. So
but children are gross.
Children are gross.
Yeah, They will not be clean to save their lives unless they've got something else going on.
Yeah.
It's really disappointing. It would really improve my life if they would just get better at that.
Have a real positive impact on you and moms everywhere. If they could just be a little less stinky. Just a little.
Yeah. Just like, why don't you like bathing? What's wrong with it? It could be fun. Why isn't it fun or relaxing?
I think this also maybe reaffirms my belief that I definitely have OCD and have since I was a child. Me, 6 years old, being like, I need to bathe now. Now.
And good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was never stinky.
But that is, Will, that's a gift. It's
Yes.
a gift to you and all your caretakers.
Yes. So Rachel skips school. Okay. Rachel skips school and she says that it's for the first time in her life. And that was incomprehensible to me. I was a sick kid and I was a deeply mentally unwell kid. I was skipping school whenever the fuck I could. She is trying to act totally normal. She's like, I'm just gonna chillax today. It's gonna be fine. I'm so normal. Everything's so normal. She makes herself a grilled cheese and she turns on the TV. She's also like having trauma flashbacks this whole time, but like ignoring them. And her dad is on TV. He's talking with one of the other anchors about how he is going to miss working at this station. And she breaks down. And this passage, again, I feel really deeply understood by Rachel. This passage is so beautiful and it's so short, but it's so effective. She says, the narration says, I muted the sound and just watched the picture. I threw my sandwich in the trash. What am I supposed to do? I yelled suddenly, shocking myself. What am I supposed to do? My voice sounded flat and dead in the silence of the kitchen. I felt foolish. It wasn't like me to get all emotional. I stood there, just staring at the cupboards.
And that's what it sounds like when a 40-year-old so-and-so writes about real life in a children's book.
Yes. It's so good. Like I remember having moments like this as a kid who was in some bad situations where I had no agency. You know, like this is so it just felt so real to me that sometimes there is nothing you can do but just kind of have this breakdown and literally say out loud, what am I supposed to do? Like when you have such little agency, but you have so much responsibility on your shoulders, sometimes what you need to do is anything. Just to remind yourself that like you have the capability of taking literally any action. Like you can take an action. And sometimes that means saying something to yourself out loud or yelling to yourself out loud with nobody else around, because that's all. You know that you have to do something, and right now that's all you've got.
Yeah.
And it does feel stupid afterwards because it doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't make the choices for you. It doesn't solve your problem for you, but it was an action and it relieved that tension of not being able to take an action. But it's just so momentary and then it's gone and nothing feels better, you know? Like, ugh.
Oh, this whole chapter reminded me of like some of the worst periods of my life where something bad has happened or is happening and you feel trapped in it, and yet like it's a normal day and
Yes.
there's arguably like a normal day, there's like you're alone with yourself and you don't know what to do, like after somebody's died.
Yeah.
And you're trapped in those thoughts, or something absolutely terrible has happened or is happening, and like you feel like a noose closing around you, but it's also just a normal day and there's nothing you can do about it and you're not empowered in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. And like knowing that tomorrow Rachel will have to like go back to school and everything will be normal. She'll have homework that she missed that she's got to do. You know, like grief and trauma are so weird because the world truly does not stop for anybody but you. Oh my God. It's the inverse of what The Alchemist did. Wow. This book's so good. This book's so good. Yeah, this chapter was so fucking sad and so good and so real. I really wish I had these books when I was growing up. Like I had them in a real way. Oh, it's so good.
Chapter 17 starts off with a great great first line. We all hooked up later that afternoon at Cassie's barn, and I wrote, nice. Nothing
Good
like
for you,
trauma
kids.
bonding, am I right, kids?
Yep. This chapter is similarly really real and really rough. It is
Yeah,
like,
it is. It is fucked up.
It's so fucked. Please tell me your thoughts on this chapter. Please just give me all of your thoughts and feelings on this fucking chapter.
So you screen cap the chapter. I copy pasted the chapter. It's the same. Our notes are identical. Like
I'm just gonna. Yeah, I think that we really genuinely just gotta go through some of these passages.
Let's just read it. Let's just read it.
Yeah. Okay, so my first one here, do you want to trade off?
Sure. Let's see.
So my first one goes, suddenly Jake just sagged. I don't know, Rachel. I don't have any answers. I'm sick of trying to have answers. You decide. I don't want to argue with you. I don't know what your problem is, but you know what? You deal with it. So they're all coming back together in this chapter and just having a big conversation about how everything is going and how exhausted everybody is and like what the fuck is going on with the Alchemist. So that was my first one.
Yeah. Okay. Rachel loses it in this. I was spinning out of control. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I yelled. After what happened last night, after all that, I have to decide who I want to hurt, my mom or my dad, and you guys. And come on, Rachel, Marco said kindly. Take it easy. Come on. You're Xena. No, I'm not some stupid TV character. I'm not some comic book Marco. I'm scared, okay? Just like the rest of you. I'm scared of what almost happened to me last night. I'm scared just knowing that place exists down there. I'm scared about what happens to me. I just wanted to run away, but I didn't think I could. So I was brave enough because that's the way I'm supposed to be. But now everyone's going, oh, just come live with me and we'll go to ball games. And hey, forget moving to another state. We have a whole nother planet for you. And the more exits I see, the more scared I get. All right?
My last one for this chapter is, this was always insane right from the start, Marco said. A handful of kids fighting an alien invasion. Look at what's happening. Tobias is trapped in a morph. Rachel is starting to use morphing to get away from her problems. The other night, I woke up in bed and I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I had hands or fins or claws or talons. Maybe you and Cassie are just immune, Jake, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
So this chapter is crazy. This is, my God. Every moment of this chapter is so sad and so real, and everybody is just so exhausted. Everyone is so exhausted. We have never seen Jake be this despondent and this resigned. Jake isn't resigned, he's Jake. Like, he is their big motivational hero, and he is just done. Marco is saying we are all crumbling, and he has been team no. He's been team, we're the Animorphs. We're gonna do this now that he has his mom again to kind of motivate him. Like he doesn't have his mom again, and he's also like, this shit's fucked. We all know this is fucked. And Rachel's breakdown of like, I'm a person. I am a human person. I am scared. I have feelings. I am tired. I am not a cartoon character. So good. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I love the way that Marco just like matter-of-factly is like talking about waking up and not knowing his own biology anymore.
Yeah.
That's wild. And then like, then pointing to Jake and Cassie and being like, maybe you're immune, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Gosh, like he's cracking jokes, but he's still like that excerpt is just so real.
Yeah. Yeah. He really gets it. And I really like that everybody on the team knows that he gets it. Like they all know there's more to him than just being the class clown, and that when he gets serious, it's serious.
And just before that, he says, you know how much sleep I got last night? About an hour.
That's right. Oh, God. Yeah, this chapter is like excruciating, but it's so satisfying. And then in what I think is, again, just like this masterful structure writing, they all take a vote again. And Rachel is the tiebreaker. She's put in another fucking situation where she has to be the one who makes a massive decision that affects other people, that will hurt other people no matter which way she decides, she is in the position again. It's up to her and her alone again. And I was so mad on her behalf that they would put her in that position, even though, like, that's not their responsibility. They're not doing this on purpose. Like, they don't know what's going on with Rachel, really, like, not to the depth that anybody needs to know about it. Like, I could just feel her rage in me about being the person who has to make this decision again. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. And then we learn that, yeah, this is great. This is like, I had totally forgotten this entire section that we're about to begin here.
Whoa! Oh, wild.
Yeah, I did not remember a lick of it. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God.
It's so fucked.
We are doing Sarah Connor's Nightmares in Terminator 2. We are doing X-Men Days of Future Past. Like, we are doing all of it, baby.
That's exactly it. So the Elemis, we're in chapter 18. The Elemis shows the fuck back up. Sure, fine. Why not? Great. Let's pile more on. Great.
But aha.
Oh, this fucking guy. So he swoops them into the future. However, I am going to refer to it as a future.
Smart play.
Thank you. He swoops them into a future, and very immediately, like, they're like, whoa, what is this place? Where are we? And they see a ruin, and I'm like, obviously this is Earth, guys, come on. And then they're like, oh no, it's Earth. And I'm like, yeah. So the ruin is the school, and they realize, like, okay, this is a future. And things are really very, 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 very bad. So the school is, again, a ruin. There's like holes through it. It's explodey, and as they're walking past, they see a classroom. They look inside, and the teacher, somebody comments that it's Miss Paloma's class, and she is skeleton. She's just a skeleton.
Maybe it's her. We don't know. It's just a skeleton.
Yes.
And it took a few seconds for the significance of that to sink in. The body had been left there to rot. It must have taken years for it to be reduced to nothing but bones. So another aspect of this, like, all the, like, melange of, like, future fiction that shows up in here is like a teeny tiny little Back to the Future 2 reference, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Maybe we can check the bookstore at the mall, Marco said. Find a world almanac for whatever year this is. See who won all the Super Bowls. Then we'll go back to our time. We can bet on the games, make a fortune.
I haven't seen Back to the Future 2 specifically in such a long time. I knew that was a plot from, like, something, but I forgot that it was from that. That's so good.
And I was like, my note here was, if Ernest Cline had written this, he'd say, and that was a Back to the Future 2 reference.
That joke enriched my soul. Thank you. It's very good.
Hooray.
Nourishing joke. So in this future, they're like, okay, well, what do we do? Because the Elemis isn't talking to us. Like, we're just here. They flirt with the idea of, like, okay, I guess let's morph so that we're not humans. And then they're like, well, if this is the future, if we lose, it really doesn't matter. Any of the humans who are here would be controllers, whether voluntary or not. So, like, it really doesn't fucking matter. Everyone's just going to think we're a controller. So they start walking around. They walk to the mall, and I have trypophobia, and I wasn't a fan of the discussion here.
Yeah.
The mall has become a taxon hive, and it's got a bunch of holes in it that they are crawling into and out of, and I did not like that. I was not a fan of that one.
That's their holes. Those holes were made for them.
Yes. Then they see that there is another one of these like big pneumatic tubes. This is a big glass tube, and it's got like a big kind of like a big conveyor belt in it. Again, you know, like Futurama style. But basically, they have a bullet train. They have a bullet train set up.
Great. The Yeerks have better infrastructure than modern America.
Yeah.
Cool.
Shocking. Wow. Yeah. So they're observing and ruminating about this, and except for Axe. Axe, that's so important. Axe is the only one who is morphed because he is in a human morph form. Because ostensibly, the only Andalite body anyone here has ever seen is Visser 3.
Yeah.
So he has to look like a human to be a human controller to be Visser 3. So they decide, I mean, fuck it, let's take the choo-choo. We gotta take the choo-choo. They get on, they follow a Hork-Bajir onto it, I believe, and they notice that there are seats for humans, Hork-Bajir, and taxons. And doing the math, Rachel realizes that there is more space for humans than any of the other species. So she thinks that there's still more humans populating the Earth than any of the other species so far. And it goes super fasty. It takes them downtown, which was like a 30, it would have been a 30-minute ride by bus, but they get there in a minute and a half. And downtown is like gone, pretty much. It's gone. Instead, there is a massive lake-sized Yeerk pool there. The one building.
It's open air now.
Yeah. How luxurious. They don't get any of that like indoor pool hotel humidity that they have to worry about. It's just breezy and beautiful.
Resort colony Earth. Great.
The one building that's remaining is the EGS Tower. And I did immediately Google EGS Tower thinking that this was a real world piece of architecture for some reason.
Too.
I don't know why I thought that.
I thought at least maybe, like, you know, they're always name dropping stuff to make it seem more grounded. I was like, well, is this a real corporation? Sometimes, but not of any significance when this book was written, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. I Googled it, and then what came up was the like Animorphs wiki, and it was like, the EGS Tower is where things happen. And I was like, no, immediately ran away from Google. But it is the tallest tower. It's the tallest building in their city. And there is like a sunlight glint coming off of it because instead of the top 2 floors, there is now this like huge glass dome over it. And the glint keeps catching Rachel's eye. She keeps getting drawn to it. But they're looking around at this Yeerk pool and they're like, so this is all fucking bad. This is really fucking bad. They get bumped into by a human controller walking around. And Rachel is like, the fuck? Excuse you? And the human controller is like, you're spies. You're spies. And then Tobias, who is in his human body, he is not hawked right now. He's so fucking funny. I didn't know what he was doing here for a second. And then the second I put it together, I was so proud of him.
Yeah, it's delightful.
So the human controller says, what's your name? And Tobias says, you don't need to worry about her name. You need to worry about his name. Because he is Visser 3, pointing at Axe. And luckily, Axe is like, yeah, okay. And he starts demorphing to his Andalite form.
Power play.
It's so funny. It's so reckless, but it's so smart. He is so quick on his toes here. I'm so proud of my boy. And then Axe does Axe does his very best Visser 3 impression. So funny. It's so funny. It goes, Axe waved his hand dismissively. Silence. You are right to remain vigilant. If you had not been vigilant, I would have destroyed you for being a careless fool. Now get out of here. He got everything in there. He got everything. He got silence. He got fool. He got death threats. And he got commands. He's got this part down pat. He was born for this role.
Yeah.
I love X so much. This human controller fully buys this because it's the best performance anyone has ever made. And she runs off screaming and scared, which is bad because she's going to go tell people like, oh no, Visser 3 is here. And then they're going to be fucked. So they're like, well, it is what it is. And then they're still wandering around, like not really knowing what to do. Rachel keeps looking at this tower. Cassie,
there's like a wild thing in here though also because at first there's confusion about like, wait, Visser 3? You mean Visser 1? What?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Which and they have to like very quickly be like, oh yeah, that's what we're just used to calling him that. Like we're old chums or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, back in our old battle days, he was just Visser 3. Okay. It works though. And Cassie, who again, like Cassie has consistently been pro-Ellimist here. But she has the feeling that something is up. There is something going on with the Ellimist that they are not telling these kids. There is something is about to happen. Something is going to go down. And there's something that they are not putting together here. She doesn't know what. She just has this feeling. And then they watch as a bug fighter comes into the area, I guess, into the atmosphere, and it flies around this tower, and then it goes down to the yeerk pool, right to where they are, basically. And Rachel starts walking up to it because she feels really drawn to it. Like she feels pulled. She knows she has to go there. And it opens up. And there is Visser 3. I'm not calling him Visser 1. I won't do it. Visser 3 and a 20-ish-year-old Rachel. And they say, basically, hi, right on schedule. Good to see you. So this is all going to plan.
Yeah. Yikes. Love this. Could not believe it.
No, I was losing my fucking mind. The turns this book takes, all of them are so good. They all come out of complete left field, but they also don't, and they all feel so good and so natural. The stakes keep getting higher and higher, and it never feels like they're jumping the shark at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the escalation is just stupendous, and I think I'm not, especially not remembering this. I'm like, how did I not remember this? Because I don't know, maybe I just wasn't visually minded enough, like at this particular juncture. I mean, I know I had held on to, like, you know, I had movies in my head. That's why I wanted to make movies as a kid. But like, this just feels like such an incredible demonstration of, hey, do you think you know what kinds of stories we can tell with the Animorphs? Because it is as sprawling as what, if they do it in the comic books, it is going to happen here. You can do it. So, funny note about the comic books. For my birthday this year, one of my partners got me the first 3 Animorphs graphic novels. She did not get me the 4th because she thought that I would not want it. Oh, don't see the whales. Yeah, okay. So sweet. The graphic novels don't get this far so far, but like I really, 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 really want them to. It's going to be great. I mean, the graphic novels have a really, like, they take a long time to come out. I've only like, I'm aware of when they're coming out. I've never read any of them, but yeah. Yeah. I also want to note some gender stuff here because I didn't take notes on this, but it stuck out to me. Adult Rachel, or like adultish Rachel, I guess she's an adult. 20-year-olds are so fucking young. Sorry if you're listening to this and you're 20. You are young. It's good. It's fine. She's wearing pretty
plain normal clothes, like jeans and a t-shirt kind of thing, and she has short hair, no makeup. Just putting it out there. We don't know if that's because the yeerk is controlling her body and the yeerk doesn't give a shit, but it could be that adult Rachel is like, maybe I don't need to be hyper femme constantly, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess. I think that that's meant to be explicitly, like this is the host body is just the host body, and human aesthetics have no like sway there. But then at the same time, there is that trope of like, the person from the future knowing more about the person from. I mean, I don't know. Like you talked about the yeerk bonding earlier, and that's kind of reconfigured this a little bit in my head now, because I'm like, because like, obviously I'm curious if there's gender stuff for Rachel. So I don't know, but like, gosh, maybe. I don't.
Yeah.
know. I don't know much about what how the yeerks would like. How are they doing with that? Is anybody else wearing makeup? There's a lot of humans around.
Yeah, I want to know. In my head, okay. This does not count. I cannot use this as a real example. But in my head, Visser 1 is always like hair done, makeup on, clothes immaculate. But again, I really think that it's just because I think she's hot. Like, I don't think I can cite that. I don't think any of that is textual. I think that's just me. I'm obsessed with her. Okay. So
I mean, it could go a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
It's either like someone who is wearing a human skin who like is dressing up, like is looking the part of ruler, or it's kind of like just super alien and weird because in fact everything's just super frumpy because the yeerk doesn't have any interest in playing human aesthetics.
Yeah, like I'm so excited to just get more. I want to meet more yeerks. I'm so pro yeerk, but they're so fascinating to me because they are, like, we have seen at this point, they are full individual people with different personalities and different things that they care about. They are they're whole people. And I have to wonder, like, it feels impossible to me that a yeerk could be in a human's brain. And if that human was like an artist, or somebody who like deeply loves music, the yeerk has like, I can't buy that no yeerk ever has failed to appreciate human aesthetics, human art, human expression, human culture. Like, there's no way, right? Like, I just love the yeerks. I just want to know everything about the yeerks. It just feels impossible to me that no yeerk ever has, for instance, tying this back, like, wanted to put lipstick on, like,
right.
One of them has to think, like, maybe the humans are onto something with their forms. Let's try it out for fun.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're all sampling like the human experience via their host that they're performing as.
Right.
Like, certainly some of them are going to go native sooner or later, to use a very like problematic parlance.
Yeah, like, one of them just has to like it. Like, one of them certainly has to just think that it's fun and nice. Like, I get this sense, this is such conjecture here, but I get the sense, like, we know that the yeerks have to live in situations that are basically unlivable for any other species. They plan on stripping this planet down to the barest bones of what the host bodies need to survive, and then the rest is going to be desolate because that's what they need. And potentially what's pleasing to them, what's comfortable to them, what's aesthetically appealing, But I do also have to think, so this is such projection. That's fine. What is this? What is this series if not just a glimpse into my mind where I'm scared of water towers and I like vultures. So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, where again, things don't live. Like the only things that live in Phoenix, Arizona are scorpions, cacti, and like lizards. That's it. And the first time I went to Colorado, I was like a different person after, like going from a very seemingly desolate, though I will say, the desert's very robust and full of life, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But going from that to lush, green, beautiful Colorado, I mean, there's a reason I moved to upstate New York. Like, and I have to imagine some of the yeerks have to be here and, be in these human hosts and feel something about it. There's no way that 0 yeerks on Earth think that Earth is beautiful and don't want to see it destroyed. Maybe now I'm making predictions here. In my heart of hearts, I really want the yeerks.
I mean, it depends on the universality of that experience, right? Like,
right.
Maybe the yeerks are enough of a collectivist sort of a species that they really don't think on those terms and they do not care. The fact that having a variety of experiences isn't particularly interesting to them, except that their whole invasion is based on having a variety of experiences.
Yes.
Because they were trapped in being slugs until they crawled into somebody's head.
Right. And we know that there is a sort of, so we know that they're in all different kinds of creatures, right? We've seen that experience. We know that there's, Hork-Bajir controllers who are not voluntary hosts. We know that the taxons are all voluntary hosts, blah, blah, blah. I am sure, and we know from the book where Jake got yeerked, that they understand hierarchy in terms of people, because Tom was not a worthy enough host for the yeerk that was in him because he was going to be put into the mare. So, we know that yeerks have an understanding of what a promotion is,
Right. Well, they got ranks. They have numeric ranks in their society.
Right. And I don't think it's just about, the relative power. I think there's got to be, again, there's no way that a yeerk would have absolutely zero preference over being a Hork-Bajir or a taxon, right? I can't fathom that there isn't preference and taste.
Oh, yeah.
That are
because,
different.
I mean, the way that they use the Hork-Bajir and taxon are very specific,
yes.
Utility purposes. So the humans, I'm sure, also have utility purposes, but generally speaking, that seems like the luxury model.
Yeah. They don't have to, they're not built for battle in the same way that a Hork-Bajir or a taxon is. They're yeerking everybody. They're yeerking 1 billion humans, which means some of them could just be chilling out. They don't have some big tactical purpose. It's just a house for them. And people are going to have different wants for a house.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's all the question of how far does that literary rabbit hole go?
Right.
Can they be more than villains as a species? And it's hard to say. I mean, for example, it's easy for me to reducing, the crimes of Western capitalism to the problem with humanity.
Uh-huh.
Why, that's inaccurate, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
So, hard to say, but my home, Florida, has been besieged by complete monsters, the absolute worst of humanity, for a long time. And now, thanks to those same people and parties and actors, my home is not only being currently ruined and forced me out of it, but is also going to be underwater before I'm dead, unless I die prematurely, which is also possible, but sure. that's yeerks for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe it's just some yeerks.
Yeah, maybe this is why I feel such a hope that, like, you know, I jokingly say really often that, like, I hope that the yeerks will unionize, and I do. But, like, that isn't entirely a joke. I do feel some, like, narrative desire for seeing the yeerks as a complex, like a complex demographic that can be reasoned with. And maybe that is less about anything to do with the yeerks and more about, like, my God, I wish I could get through to some of these people who are making places like Florida, like Arizona, like Texas, like, you know, that I wish that any reasoning or, like, I wish that I could count on just a shred of anything for them to realize, like, this isn't good for you either. You know, like, maybe work against everything that's going on here for the better of everyone. Maybe it's just maybe it's just my wish fulfillment that may or may not come.
Or, you know, maybe the yeerks are just going to keep making yeerk pools forever and ever and ever and destroy the natural environment because they don't need to care in the short term.
Yeah.
And that's just who they are.
And they just really genuinely don't need to care in the short term. And that's what matters. These books are really good. These books are really good.
Yeah. Are we still in chapter 20?
I don't know.
Because if so, this is the moment when I was like, oh, geez, is the Elmist a stand-in for the authors?
Yes, tell me about that, yes.
So, this is Rachel. You know what I decided? But still, here you are. So either you're here to change what I decided, except no, then it might change all of this, or else you're here because your being here is what caused me to decide whatever I decided. Yeah. Confusing, isn't it? Visor 3 sneered. I don't know how the Elmist keeps it all straight. As though it's like suddenly breaking the fourth wall and talking about this plot.
Yeah, I totally see what you mean here. This must have been such a fun one for them to write, like, because of that, and also because of the structure and what's going on here. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, then chapter 21 happens, and oh golly.
This chapter is wild! So Rachel is talking to Visser 3 and adult Rachel, and I thought we were going to have, like, a really long extended, like, debate here. And that is simply not what happened.
Well, this is a Rachel book. We don't have time for that.
We don't have time for that. You're so right. It's so good. So they're talking. So Rachel's talking to Controller Rachel, and Controller Rachel is like, yeah, this is like this because the yeerks won. And then I think it's Jake who starts this. He's like, okay, well, so what choice did we make that this happened? Because you know that you all know about the Elmist. You knew to be here. You were here. You were me. You did this. So y'all know that the Elmist gave us a choice. So what did we choose to make this happen? And Mr. 3 and Controller Rachel seemingly had, like, no concept. And we understand why they have no concept. It's because this version of them in the past is different. Even without the conversation of the decision, they didn't expect Axe to be here. So already, this is not their future. This is a future, but even without the decision with the Elmist, it couldn't be their future because they have Axe. And because clearly they are gobsmacked by this question, and they're like, none of your business.
Yeah. It's wild, right? Yeah. Like, it's absolutely wild to throw this, because, like, you know, like, getting Axe, that was book 4.
Yeah.
Like, where did the timeline diverge?
Yeah.
Where did the Elmist get this timeline from?
Yeah.
is it all like a very complex fabrication, or is it just like a couple frequency dials like to the left? And I'm yeah. Who knows?
Who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know if we will ever learn this, but I had a great time here. It's so fun how rapidly this just falls apart. Like, I was so scared and so intimidated when Visser 3 and Controller Rachel show up. I was like, oh shit, this is bad. Just their plan is so fucking flimsy. And again, I know why it's flimsy. They didn't think that they had to prepare, but it's just so embarrassing. And then they realize that Visser 3 and Controller Rachel cannot attack them, because if they get killed, then this future's definitely not gonna happen. And then Rachel points out, like, okay, but I don't know if the reverse is true. And so they start attacking.
Amazing.
It's so good. It's so cathartic, and it's so funny.
I mean, think about Visser 3's perspective on this. Well, obviously they're just terrified children. Come on.
He's like making threats. Like, I ate this one's leg with barbecue sauce and it was delicious. Well, and Rachel's like, oh yeah. Say more about that. Say more about it right fucking now.
Yeah, Visser 3 does make the mistake of devoting a small monologue to details on killing and eating Tobias and how Controller Rachel ate his leg and laughed.
Yes.
Like,
fucking idiots.
Like, that's... First of all, wow, yikes, oh my God, that's awful. That's just...
so awful.
That's so messed up. And then you think that the one who turns into all the angry animals is not going to come for you?
Who has a crush on the bird boy? Like, get real, guys. So, as they start wreaking havoc and mayhem and violence...
Rachel has some coded language here. She says, now you filth, let's see who eats who, which is like whenever someone throws in the word filth like this and like a team, like that's 100% like that line is, let's see who eats who, you fuck. Like that's what that line, like there's no, like Michael Grant had kind of like an extended dialogue on how he and Catherine feel about cussing, which is they fucking cuss all the time.
Yeah.
And he hates censoring himself. So I think that's a pretty blatant, we know what she's saying there.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's so good. So as soon as they start doing the violence, the Elemist is like, and he yoinks him on out of there. He's like, okay, that's enough. They have another huge conversation about this, and they all talk about it, and the way that it happens is, and I was shocked by this. I get where they're coming from. I really do, but I was shocked by this. They, having seen this horrible future, they think that they absolutely do have to say yes to the Elemist. Rachel has come around by being like, I am not going to become a controller. I'm not doing it. I'm voting yes. I'm fucking done. This is not happening to me. And even Tobias is like, yeah, this really seems like the only way to go. This was so shocking to me because for me, this was so clearly like the Elemist doesn't know what he's fucking doing. Like, he fucked this up so bad. He put them into a future where, like, everything could have gone to plan, but he didn't think it through enough. And, like, we'll get there. But very clearly to me, this was an additional no. But they're all like, yeah, no, this is actually too fucked up. We have to say yes.
I mean, they're traumatized. Like, that's like...
Yeah.
What they've just seen, like, regardless of how correct or incorrect it is, it's not even remotely enough time to process it.
Yeah. Did you feel like pulled every which way about this, or did you feel pretty solid in like, if you were in this situation, what decision would you make? Did you have a feeling one way or the other?
Yeah, I think it's like before the future thing happens, it would be pretty clear that like, hey, I mean, the situation is bad. No one should be put in that situation. No one should be like pulled from the brink of death and said, okay, so you get to live, but you have to make this bad decision. I mean, because that's clearly like you're playing with a stacked deck. Like it's not,
Mm-hmm.
you can't make a clear decision that way. Even still, it seems like, given that they're just kids, the smart play would be to let the omnipotent space being save you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could save the whole world. That would be ideal. But there is approximately nothing telling you that you really have the power to do that. There's nothing empowering you to feel that strongly about it.
Yeah.
They don't have enough experience to know what their options really are.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
So, like, I think with this, what they still need to nudge on is they just saw something like, okay, no, it's bad. We like they get there. They're like, okay, yeah, we don't. The best possible thing is just to get out. We know that if that's true, then that's fine. But it did feel weird.
Yeah.
Something was off, and that's gonna mean something.
Yeah, it sure is.
Never Morphed is hosted, edited, and produced by Will Williams. Our theme music is The Chase by Joey Hendricks. Our title is by Eddie Feely, and this podcast would not exist without Mike Schubert's podcast, Potterless and the Newest Olympian. You can find his works at shub.es, that's shub.es. Never Morphed is a proud member of Hug House Productions. You can find more at hughouse.productions and follow us on Tumblr at Nevermorphed. Get morphin'!
On March 27th, 2024, Elon Musk was deposed in a libel lawsuit filed by Ben Brody. Musk's lawyer, Alex Spiro, tried to retroactively mark the deposition as confidential, but it wasn't.
Of course I can ask him, do you think you committed actual malice? Do you think you were reckless? Of course I can ask those questions.
The deposition is a new Hug House podcast reenactment of the entire deposition, word by word, in full, taken very seriously.
Things that he did wrong.
But that's the point. That's not what you're allowed
Until he really just can't anymore?
Not what you're allowed to do in the deposition. You can't just get him talking.
The deposition drops on the 4th of July, 2024, with 4 weekly episodes. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice or find us at hughouse.productions today.